I walked into the crowded company dinner without an invitation, my heart beating a little faster with anticipation. The room buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses, and cheerful conversations. Everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves. My wife noticed me right away and froze in the middle of her smile, her eyes widening in surprise. I gave a casual wave, keeping my calm, moving through the crowd as if I belonged there. That was when her boss locked eyes with me, the air around him suddenly cold. His sharp expression cut through the noise, and in a voice that carried across the table, he said, "You weren't invited." The room went silent at once. I felt a brief spark of satisfaction beneath the shock, refusing to let his icy words shake me. I smiled calmly, letting my posture show quiet confidence. My wife's face revealed her worry, the smile she had worn moments earlier now gone. Coworkers looked back and forth between us, curious whispers floating through the air as they took in the unexpected moment. The boss, clearly expecting embarrassment or retreat, stared at me, waiting for me to break. But I didn't. I allowed the moment to linger, the tension thick as everyone waited for my response. Slowly, I stepped forward, steady and composed. "I understand I wasn't officially invited," I said evenly, my voice carrying through the silence, "but I wanted to be here to support my wife tonight." My words were polite, calm, and filled with quiet confidence. A few coworkers exchanged impressed looks, realizing this wasn't the reaction they expected. The boss kept his glare, but I noticed a hint of doubt in his eyes. I continued, choosing each word carefully. "I didn't mean to interrupt your evening or cross any boundaries," I added, "but I couldn't let the night go by without recognizing someone who works so hard for this company." My smile stayed steady as I glanced around the room, meeting the curious faces watching closely. Soft whispers moved through the crowd, the tension slowly turning into interest. My wife's cheeks flushed with a mix of embarrassment and pride as she realized I had taken control of a moment that could have gone badly. The boss's face tightened as he tried to hold on to his authority. Then came the turning point. Without hesitation, I looked toward the CEO, who had been quietly observing from the head table. "It might be worth mentioning," I said calmly, "that while I may not have been invited, my involvement in several company projects has been significant, and my support has helped growth in ways many may not realize." The CEO lifted his eyebrows, clearly intrigued. The room grew still again, the tension now mixed with curiosity. Even the boss's confident stance seemed to weaken. I let the pause stretch, allowing everyone to take in what I had said. People shifted in their chairs, glancing between the CEO and me. My wife looked both proud and amazed, her earlier worry slowly turning into respect. The boss opened his mouth to speak, likely trying to regain control, but I gently raised my hand, signaling calm. The quiet confidence I held now stood in sharp contrast to his earlier hostility. I could feel the balance of power subtly changing, unseen by many, but impossible to deny. Support isn't always visible, I continued carefully. Influence isn't always recognized. But tonight, I hope we can remember that presence, encouragement, and dedication matter just as much as authority. My steady voice gave the words strength, capturing attention without force. A few coworkers nodded quietly, impressed by the calm approach. My wife's boss seemed to search for a response, but couldn't find one right away. The room felt suspended, waiting for what would come next. Then I turned slightly toward my wife and gently took her hand. "I'm proud of you," I said softly, loud enough for a few nearby to hear. The honesty in my voice eased the tension even more, making the moment feel human and real. The boss's expression hardened slightly, realizing that authority alone couldn't erase the respect and influence I had just shown. The crowd shifted from shock to admiration, the awkwardness fading as they sensed that dignity, not conflict, had guided the moment. The CEO leaned forward slightly and nodded, quietly acknowledging what had just unfolded. Whispers now carried respect and curiosity. My wife's coworkers glanced at us, many clearly impressed by how calmly the situation had been handled. I remained steady, letting the message settle on its own. Presence, calmness, and thoughtful words can change perceptions far more deeply than anger ever could. The room had absorbed the truth without anyone being embarrassed. By the end of the night, the atmosphere had shifted. Laughter and conversation returned, but now with a new sense of respect, boundaries, and quiet influence. My wife's boss kept a professional tone, yet I could see in his eyes the understanding that authority alone wasn't enough to command respect. I walked away with my dignity intact, my wife beside me. Both of us had faced a potentially humiliating moment with calm, strategic grace. That night taught me that confidence, timing, and composure can turn even the coldest confrontation into a powerful display of quiet strength.